We are just a few months away from starting the regular NBA season, and according to an ESPN NBA Insider, the New York Knicks have the toughest start to the NBA season of any active team. We're going to break down exactly who made those comments and what the first 10 games look like for the New York Knicks. We're going to look into this and so much more today. Let's get started. The New York Knicks apparently have the toughest 10-game schedule to start the NBA regular season. Now, this was first mentioned by ESPN's own Bobby Marks. According to Bobby Marks, 7 of the New York Knicks' first 10 games, including 5 of their first 7, come against fellow playoff participants, including their tip-off contest against the Boston Celtics on October 25th. Bobby Marks lists that opening 10-game stretch as the toughest first leg for a contender. So according to Bobby Marks, the New York Knicks, out of all NBA teams, out of all contenders looking to get that NBA championship, the New York Knicks' first 10 games is the toughest. And I can tell you, being a New York Knicks fan, that's not what you want to hear. After last season, after how successful we were, after going as far in the playoffs as we did, going as far as we did since 2013, back when we had Melo, we want to start off this season the best way possible. We want to start out hot, and we want to make sure the New York Knicks are at the top of their division after 10 games. That's at least what I want, and I know a lot of New York Knicks fans want as well too. However, after you hear that the New York Knicks starting schedule, that their first 10 games are the toughest 10 games of any NBA team in the league, it makes you question and wonder what their record is going to be after those first 10 games. And I think the best way to break down what their record is going to be and how fearful we should be of their first 10 games is to look at them and to break it down. So let's take a look at the first 10 games the New York Knicks are going to play to start off next season. So against Boston, their home opener, they have it against Boston, and that's on Wednesday, October 25th. That game, more or less, could be a win or a loss. Let's just say it might be a loss. And then we have their first road game against Atlanta on Friday, October 27th. Let's call that a W. Then on Saturday, they play New Orleans. That's their first back-to-back game. Not back-to-back against the same opponent, but back-to-back in terms of another game played after that next night. So that game is going to be against New Orleans. Now, New Orleans might have Zion Williamson back during that game, and if he's fully healthy with Ingram and CJ, that could be a very difficult game. But you know what? I'm going to say because of chemistry, the New York Knicks get that one. So as of right now, the Knicks are 2-1 for me, and now they go against Cleveland for their first back-to-back against the same opponent in the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now for me, the Cavs versus the Knicks, this should have been opening night. Donovan against Brunson. Spider against Venom. For me, that's Jalen Brunson because he has extinguished Donovan Mitchell twice in the playoffs in 2 different conferences. This man is not to be trifled with. And Jalen Brunson against Donovan Mitchell on opening night, for me, would have been box office and must-see. But either way, the New York Knicks are facing the Cleveland Cavaliers twice. And again, that's a back-to-back. I think the Knicks are definitely going to get one of them. Cleveland might get one of them too. Cleveland did improve. I'll call it a split. So right now, the Knicks are 3-2, losing to Boston and Cleveland. So 3-2 out of the last 5 games. So now they have another 5. So now they have Friday, November 3rd against Milwaukee, at Milwaukee. I'm going to say that's a loss. Then they have Monday against the Clippers. If everybody's fully healthy on the Clippers, I'm going to say that's a loss for the Knicks. If Kawhi or Paul George misses that game, the Knicks win it. For right now, let's say they're fully healthy, so that game is a loss. That's 2 losses. The Knicks are 3-4 now. 3 games left. San Antonio against the Knicks, I'm going to say that even though it's going to be Wembanyama's first game against the Knicks, and it's going to be important for him, I don't think the Spurs team is good enough yet to beat the Knicks. In another year or two, yeah, the Spurs are going to be dangerous because Wembanyama is going to figure it out, I think. Wembanyama looks like a smart player. I have faith in the kid. But as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and call that the New York Knicks beat San Antonio. And let's go ahead and say they beat Charlotte as well, too. So they've beaten Charlotte and they've beaten San Antonio. That means that they're now at 5-4. Okay? They're a game over 500. And they're about to face Boston. And now either we're going to be at 500 or 2 games over 500 if we beat Boston on Monday, November 13th. So that's going to be a very pivotal and important game for the Knicks, depending on where they are in the standings and where they are in terms of record. But even if it wasn't, it would still be important because it's against Boston. But did you see those first 10 games? The Knicks could legitimately win 5 games and legitimately lose 5 games. But here's the thing. This is all to say that the Knicks could potentially be 5-5 if things go more or less right for the New York Knicks going into next season to start the first 10 games. Now, there are possibilities there that the New York Knicks could supersede a lot of possibilities and maybe they beat Boston. Maybe they beat Milwaukee. Maybe they beat the Clippers and their record is way more favorable. However, this is also assuming that the Knicks beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. What if they don't beat the Pelicans? What if they don't beat Atlanta? What if they don't beat Charlotte? But they beat some of these other teams? Then their record might be 6-4 or maybe 4-6. It can definitely shift that much depending on who they're facing, who that squad has, and how the Knicks are feeling and what they're coming off of in terms of games and momentum from the last game going into the next. Because all of that is going to play a very big part in regards to where the New York Knicks record is after the first 10 games and where they are in terms of seeding after the first 10 games. I'm very curious to see where the New York Knicks shake up because Bobby Marks hit it right on the head. After reviewing those first 10 games, you can see why the New York Knicks have the toughest schedule of any contender thus far. Because at the end of the day, the New York Knicks, starting out of the gate, are going to be tested in a lot of ways. These first 10 games are going to be a statement from the New York Knicks. It's either going to say, we're ready, we're not ready, or even better, we're here. Bleacher Report actually gave a prediction on the New York Knicks win-loss record. So it's good that we're talking about the Knicks' first 10 games and how tough that's going to be. Because then if you look at the whole schedule in total for the New York Knicks, their first 25 to 30 games, you can make the argument, is extremely difficult. There are no easy ones. There are no gimmies. The Knicks are going to be tested. But if they come out of this on the positive end, they could make a statement in the NBA, make a statement to other players around the league, and let people know that the Knicks are here to stay, not only in the conversation in the playoffs, but potentially to make a push for the chip. And if that happens, they are going to attract a lot of people. But let's see what Bleacher Report had to say in regards to their prediction for the Knicks win and loss record. So they actually polled the New York Knicks fan base they have in their Knicks community. And about 4.8K people voted. So that's a lot of people. And again, they asked, will the New York Knicks win 48 games during the 2023-2024 season? And your choices were either more than that, exactly that, or less than that. And a whopping 66.1% chose that the New York Knicks would win more than 48 games next season. Now, I'll tell you something. That's a tall task. But if the Knicks do that and they win more than 48 games next season, that's a success. If they win 50-plus games next season, that is mind-boggling. Because everybody's been telling me that the East has gotten better. And honestly, I don't see it. The Celtics did. You can make that argument. The Wizards did, but they're a couple of years away. The Cavs did, and that's one you really have to watch because I believe they got better in the areas they needed to get better in. However, where else are the upgrades? Who else got better? If anything, you can make the argument that some team's situation is worse than last time. The Raptors, who knows what's going on with them now, especially with this lawsuit. The 76ers, in shambles. James Harden, is he going to start? Is he not going to start? A lot of people saying he's not going to be at camp. Is that going to affect Joel Embiid? Will Joel Embiid be at camp? So the Sixers, all in shambles. So that third spot, in terms of the top 3 teams in the East, some people are saying it's wide open. Will it go to Cleveland? Will it go to the Knicks? It's possible. Could Atlanta creep back in there? Who knows? All I can say for sure at this point in time is, right now, the East is way more open than the West is. And I would say the West is a lot stronger right now than the East is. And I think if you're a Western Conference team, there's a lot more competition and a harder road for you ahead than if you're in the East and you're an Eastern Conference team looking to be a contender or at least a playoff team for next season. Because I think it's out there for you. There's a lot of open gaps in the East, and a lot of teams are going to have to fill that. One of those teams are going to be the New York Knicks. They're going to be tested to start the season. But if they can overcome that test and come out of it with an extremely good record, they will prove that everywhere around the league that they are no longer a laughingstock. They should be taken seriously. They are a threat in the East, but more importantly, all free agents, all all-stars, all superstars, they're going to be watching and they're going to be looking. And as soon as Leon Rose feels that one of those stars are hooked, he's going to throw everything and more to get that star on the New York Knicks. Because at the end of the day, the Knicks' plan, even though they're patiently building their roster out, is still to trade for that superstar. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.